Louise Bedford here, your host of the Mind Over Market segment. This is how traders think. And Jordan Mallor, you're joining me today. I always love the episodes where you get to be my co-host. How have things been going?
Yep, really well. Excited to be back. I love the episodes too, Louise. I really do.
Oh, lovely. Do you know, Jordan, I have got the best news and I'm about to share it with you. I have got my new baby. Dun,
Your
dun,
new bestseller.
dun.
Your new
Oh
bestseller,
my
right?
gosh, here it is. It is extremely exciting. I
Awesome.
literally gave it a hug. Oh, it's like having a baby. It truly is. And I popped it in the car. I drove it around, showing it the world. And I just feel like it's ready. It is ready to go. So it's actually on pre sale at the moment. And you can pick up a copy from my website, which I'll give you full details. But if you want to go to Amazon or Booktopia, you can get a pre sale version. But today, as a theme, what I thought might be fun to do is to talk about the secret chapters, the things that got left on the cutting room floor. Probably because of length requirements, but also because sometimes, from a flow perspective, you can't include everything in a book. They are very strict. Wiley, they're the second biggest publishing firm in the world. So there was grueling, you actually were my confidant with all of this, grueling methods that they use to extract the best out of every author. And sometimes that crushes the author in the process. But I'm still here, Jordan, and I'm going for it. So today I would love to discuss with you the secret chapters, the things that I wish had have been included in the book that were not included. And I've just got so many lovely pieces of feedback. Like, I just feel that there's so much to be said for the public. It's just wonderful when people get behind a particular creative endeavor and it gives you a new source of life. So I am going to kick off by showing you my other babies. Here are my other babies. There's 5 of them, and all of them were written for different purposes. But with this new one, Investing Psychology Secrets, this has been the culmination of 2 years of research, very heavy research into psychology. Jordan, you and I love trading psychology. It's been the backbone of this particular series, but to be able to write an entire book about it with very practical self-help guidelines has been wonderful. And I did manage to release it to a few different clients. Here's my beautiful Greg Mount. He's an accountant from WA. I chose him because he's in WA, Jordan, and if you're looking for a
Thank
good
you.
accountant, he may be the
As
one.
soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, yeah.
So, Greg says Louise Bedford is an investing psychology expert and trading mentor. Thanks to Louise's techniques, I can manage my emotions, break bad habits, and stop self sabotage. As a result, my new mindset has assisted me to perform at the top of my game with confidence in the trading arena and has improved my personal life as well. So, that is very exciting. It has just been so humbling because there are aspects here where people have trusted me with very personal details about their life. And you can too. As a listener, as a watcher of this show, you can actually email me directly. You can tell me what you want to see on the show. You can tell Jordan, who will also tell me, and we'll even design a show specifically about the thing that you want to talk about. So, Jordan, what have you been hearing around the traps? What are the things that
First,
you've heard about this series?
first thing first, I want to say a big congratulations. Right, I'm very excited to get my hands on the book myself and to have a read of it. And if it's anything close to the content we've been discussing, I know I'm going to love it. Right, we like getting into the nitty gritty. We like looking where no one else will look and take a good hard look in the mirror as we do it. So, no, I am really excited to explore that. Yeah, we've gotten some really good feedback. The guys that are watching us and still continuing to come back to talk on these tough topics, to watch me get put on a chopping board and let you rip loose. We are resonating, and that's really good to see. I've got a lot of people reaching out about the personal issues that they're facing, in trading and out of trading, and how our psychological work, even myself, Louise, we've said multiple times over the past few weeks how I've implemented some of the things that we're talking about in my own life and in my own personal life as well, and seeing the benefits of it. So we are really getting out there, guys. Don't be shy. If you want to be put on the chopping board, let me know. Right, sub me out. Right, we can get you in here. But no, don't be shy. If you want to reach out to myself or Louise, go ahead. We're not going to judge you. We're not going to turn you away. We're not going to throw you. Right, we're here to help elevate the retail trading game, and this is exactly how we do it. So if you have questions, reach out.
Absolutely. And the other aspect is to look back through past episodes. The one that I just watched recently, Jordan, was you and my friend Chang Kupfer, who I think is just a classic. And I did like the start with what is your spirit animal. I do think that's hilarious. So, Jordan, tell everybody, what is your spirit animal?
It's a tough one, right? I because I was first asked that when I went on Shane's podcast, right? And when I was interviewed by Shane, and I went, I've never looked into my spirit animal. And it was probably the most boring answer you could get, but I got the turtle. My spirit animal was the turtle, right? This strong, hard back. I can't remember the exact analogy with it. I'm not big on spirit animals, but it was the hard shell, but also this effortless glide and movement that it does throughout the ocean. And it just resonated with me in so many different ways.
I love that because also the turtles are one of the most famous trading groups in the world. So
Very true.
Bill Eckhart and Richard Dennis started out by doing a very public in a newspaper ad to find out, can traders be made or are they born? And they created the Turtles group. Do you know about this, Jordan?
I've heard of the Turtles
You've
group. I
heard of the
haven't heard the
Turtles?
story on how it's
Okay.
originated.
So they advertised for, it was, of course, way back when, before they were woke, young men that were willing to commit and have vigor and commit
Yeah.
themselves to a trading plan. So take all of the old fashioned speak away and take the essence of the lesson. So, the essence of the lesson is that they trained a group of people up to be exceptional with following a trading plan. And the ones that followed the trading plan and that made it through the training became the Turtles group. And the Turtles are the most profitable group in the world with trading. And do you know what they're doing, Jordan? Do you know what the Turtle system is? It is
I
trend
don't.
trading. It is doing exactly what you and Rich do. It is looking at trends, developing a technique to be able to capitalize on the middle chunk of the trend, because we know we'll never get in at the bottom, we'll never get out at the top. It's just the way it is. And it's sticking to very specific money management rules. So I do think that is a really great animal to choose, Jordan. And my
Yeah.
one, here's my little guy. This is a rhino. So a rhino charges through the jungle, very thick skin, so can withstand all of the slings and arrows as he's going through the jungle. He'll put his head down and he'll work hard. And I always have my little rhino to look at near my trading screen. I wanted to write a kid's book about rhinos, but I haven't done that yet. But maybe that'll be the next one. So let's have a look at this current book, my darling Investing Psychology Secrets. So the byline is Surefire Data Driven Strategies to Supercharge Your Trading Results. So this is based on the 4 years that I did of psychology at uni, as well as intensive research. And there are aspects that I really wish I had have put into the book, and that really ended up in the unfortunate aspect of being on the cutting room floor. So let's have a look at those now. So these are the things that I wish I had have included in Investing Psychology Secrets. The secret chapters, if you will. So the first one is to add a new tiny stress. Now, Jordan, we have covered a little bit about this in the past on the show, but I wanted to give some more specific examples about this. So when we are under pressure, we have got everything firing. Our adrenaline, our cortisol, everything is spiking. Our vision, our actual visual field narrows. Our peripheral vision stops working as well because we have to identify that threat straight in front of us. Both men and women get a big testosterone spike, and it is interesting that the alpha among us actually tends to have a higher level of testosterone, but the key is they can actually recover the most quickly. So there is a study which I I really wish I was involved with, because it just sounds like the most bizarre thing. They looked at alpha chimpanzees. So there's the alpha male and there is the alpha female as well. And what they did is they saw testosterone in their urine. They had to go collect urine from the alphas. Watch them
So you
pee,
wanted to be a part of this study,
collect
is
it in
it?
a jar. I thought it'd be great. And what they found is that the alphas, and definitely in people as well, they have higher levels of testosterone, which means that often we are more stressed as the alpha of your group, Jordan. You probably are experiencing more stress. But the key to maintaining your alphaness is to be able to recover quickly. So that includes things like breathing. So let's do it now. Calming down, being able to get your sleep right, making sure from an emotional point of view you have touch. Touch is so important for regulating not only adrenaline and testosterone, but also for your heart rate. So also anything that you can do to encourage that for yourself. Like if you put your hand on your heart now, your brain is so dumb, it thinks you're getting a hug. So that still counts. So we've just both managed to lower our anxiety by putting our hands on our heart. So how do we overcome some of these tumultuous aspects when we are dealing with stress in the markets? And it is counterintuitive. It is to add a new tiny stress. And this is something that we can do today, and we can start right now. So some of the new stresses that I've added in light of this research, and it's been over several years, I'll give you my top 3. And Jordan, I would love for you to choose one. I am going to put you on the spot. I'm going to ask you to choose one of my 3, or choose a stress for yourself to add to your routine. It has to be future focused, positive. It has to give you a boost, and it has to also be something that you can imagine yourself doing, because otherwise you're just not going to be able to continue. So some of the things I've done is I did, for one whole year, I wrote a card a day to somebody who I admired, somebody who had helped me in the past. It was a form of gratitude. I even wrote cards to random waiters in the restaurant because I ran out of people after the first 3 months. How many people can you say, hey, you're fantastic to? I don't know, but apparently I found 365 at least. It was one of the best years of my life. It was a stress because I had to keep finding people and I had to keep writing the cards. However, that was an absolute winner, and it has to be one of the best years of my life. So that is one thing that you could do. The other thing is that you could give a compliment a day. Now, this is something where a lot of people find it difficult to share. My business partner, Chris Tate, who's going to come on the show soon, is a very shut down type of person because he's got like 98% of his life for trading and 2% for the rest of his life. Don't know what happened there. But giving compliments doesn't come naturally. Over time, he's been able to do it. So you could give a compliment a day. Or another thing is that you could talk to somebody per day. So one new person, talk to one new person. Traders tend to be 70% introverted. That can be difficult because we know with introverts, they're even happier, even if you just leave them alone and they don't get a lot of stimulation. So we think, but the studies show if you can get out of yourself, you can put a smile on your face, you can have social interaction, even introverts get happier. So They're the three. And Jordan, out of that, so I'll just refresh you, sending a card a day, and it can be for a week, say, it has to be a reasonable amount of time. Giving a compliment a day, or perhaps the other one that you could use is saying no. Saying no. So this is something that's difficult as well. So saying no could be, I choose not to go to lunch with you. I choose not to do that report. I choose not to, and just saying no. So those are your choices. Jordan, what would you be attracted to add a new tiny stress? Do you like the card? Do you like the compliment? Do you like saying no? Do you like somehow getting out of yourself to encourage others so that you can get some stress relief?
Nothing makes me happier than making other people happy. So the card of gratitude, because it's got that sentimental touch as well, massive fan of. Complimenting people I try to do as often as possible anyway. So I'm a big fan of that. Interesting that a lot of the suggestions you have there were very social orientated.
Yes.
That was interesting as well. Like, obviously we want it to align with our long-term goals, but the card one, I love the card one. I like sending a sentimental gift or something that actually comes from the heart, makes me happy, makes them happy. So yeah, 100% the card one.
I love that. Well, look, I will check up on this in the future to see whether you decided to stick with that or whether you switched to another. But every time we are altruistic, we get something back. And as traders, we need to look after our own energy. That is something that is very inherent with this role. We are sitting still for so long. We are looking at a screen for so long. So if we can feed our machine, we can expect more out of our machine. So I would love you to add a new tiny stress. And if that is a card and it's something social and it can make you feel good, then fantastic. I think that would be a great situation.
Awesome.
Now, something else that I left out of the book is hot and cold states. Now, the reason I left it out of the book is because I really couldn't write about it. Jordan. This one, my editor said, They did an experiment. If you're listening with children in the car, or perhaps even teenagers, you may want to fast forward over the next 5 minutes. I'm giving you your due warning here, and this is an adult production with adult themes, and just take it from that. Okay. Now, hot and cold states. So I'll talk about the general and then I'll talk about the specific. The general is when you are in a very hot state, you are in the throes of making a decision under the conditions that you would be expected to make that decision in real life. So it's not paper trading, it's trading with a demo account with a timer. It's close enough to trading as a real trader would in the market. A hot state could be that you're on a date and you don't have a condom, and heck, what could go wrong? If you were in a cold state, you would have made the decision to not go forth. But when you're in a hot state, all of that prefrontal cortex, that cerebral cortex around the very outside of our brain, which is the more modern part of our brain, literally switches off. It says, stuff you, future self, stuff you, I'm going to do what I want to do because I want it now. We're not only talking the 2-year-old tantrum, but we're also talking about the adult male sex drive. Now, how they studied this, and this is why it got blocked. So they took a group of uni students, they happened to be engineering students, and they said, morally, what would you be prepared to do sexually? And they had a big long list. And in a cold state, the engineering students said, no, I would never do that. I wouldn't have sex with a goat. Gosh, of course not. Who's going to do that?
Oh, this is going somewhere.
This is going somewhere. But
Yeah.
in a hot state, which you could imagine what that hot state is because they gave them specific parameters about how to arouse a hot state in themselves, they said yes, they would have sex with a goat, for example. I'm using that as an example. The list was actually very comprehensive. I doubt sex with a goat was on there, but you know where I'm coming to.
Mhm.
So this is important for traders because we underestimate the importance of our mindset. We underestimate the importance of our psychology and what will happen when we're actually trading. We think when we're in a cold state, we will be so calm and so smooth and it will all be so easy and we'll be a goddamn market wizard and a superstar. However, in the throes of a hot state, our higher functioning leaks out of our left ear and we don't have that maintenance of self-control. Jordan, have I totally messed up your YouTube algorithm with mentioning this hot state, cold state? Give me some feedback here, my friend.
I can see the title. I can just see the title of the video. It's beautiful. No, no. I think it's interesting because I want to ask you a question. In a hot state. Now, I'm not in a hot state for me. I'm not thinking just in terms of the bedroom, right? I'm thinking a hot state can be when you're trading, when you're under a lot of pressure, when you've got to make a decision very quickly and you don't have time to think about it. You need to go on instinct. Like, am I right in saying that can also be hot state?
That is definitely a hot state. Absolutely.
So when this is interesting because I find sometimes I do my best work when I'm in a hot state. Some of the decisions I've made, some of the ways that I've handled different situations when I'm in a hot state, I've found done it better than when I was in a cold state. So is there something to read into there, or am I just on a luck streak?
No, this is a good thing. So, what you've been able to do is to think clearly, even though you have an environment that's screaming at you. Now, that's a beautiful state if you can harness it. And the way to
Mm,
do that, the way that you've probably, without realizing it, been able to do that is, for example, kids with a practice test. So, if you've got, for example, a year 12 person with a practice test and they don't really care about the timer. They are hungry, they go away and have a bit of lunch and come back. They will not get the same results as a year 12 student that replicates the study conditions. So if they are under a timer situation where there's quiet but there's the occasional noise, where they're not allowed to get up because you can't do that in an exam. You just
mm,
cannot do that. So in their hot state, they actually, if they can replicate it, get a better result in the exam by looking after their environment. So as a trader, you've been able to harness this and it's a beautiful thing and it doesn't come naturally. So something within you has said, this is what I need to do to be able to encourage action. Maybe it's an anti-procrastination method. Maybe it's the type of person that you want in your side when you're backed into a corner or if there's a medical emergency. Maybe you're the one that needs to be there when things go haywire. The thing that I'll suggest to you, Jordan, what happens after you've made that decision? If you've been in that hot state, you've made a quick decision, it's been the right decision, tell me what happens after.
I'm exhausted. That's one thing I can tell you straight out. Almost every time I've gone into a hot state, made the decision, right decision, wrong decision. If it's the wrong decision, I analyze it. Okay, where did we go wrong, whatnot. But no matter what, exhausted.
Mm-hmm. And you need to listen to that. You need to listen to your body. So if you go from hot state to hot state to hot state for your life, you will burn out.
Mm. Which is a good topic to talk about because we just went over burnout. We've
Yes.
just gone over exactly. So that I appreciate you answering that because I know I definitely work more efficiently in a hot state, right?
Yes.
Sometimes more effectively, especially when it's in trading, but in all the areas of life as well. I think quickly. I think quicker on my feet when I'm in a hot state, and it hasn't always burnt me. I'd say majority of the time it's actually worked out better for me. So I was intrigued to
Yes.
know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's probably not good or bad, but it is something to be aware of and that your recovery process jumps to the fore. So
Mm,
think about how you recover from those situations. So I'll give you a personal example. In my own hot state, should we say. My business partner was in hospital. Things had gone very badly. All of a sudden, he's on the hospital bed, not breathing, making the weirdest sound I've ever heard a human make. I ran and got a nurse, and she said, "No, he's fine. I've just checked on him." I held the nurse's shoulders and gave her a little shake. I cannot believe I did that, because you're not supposed to touch somebody like that. And I said, "He is dying. Get in there now," right? And the next hour, 2 hours, maybe even 4 hours, I think it was by the time I got out of there, was a mess of tubes and ICU. And I was in the thick of it and getting ice and reading out in little vials for injection. And it was horrible. But I was awesome. However, I got out into the car park and I vomited. So my hot state was, hey, in the moment, fantastic, but it all hit me afterwards. So I'm saying to you, Jordan,
Very
listen to
much
it.
what I feel.
Listen
So
to it,
how
be aware.
would you prevent that?
There might not be prevention, but there is definitely to examine it and to work out methods prior what you're going to do. This is where we do a pre-mortem. So we know with one of the methods that we've discussed on the show, a pre-mortem is where you look at everything that can go wrong and you plan for those things to go wrong and you work out what you're going to do if they happen. So you scaffold your way into success. So I'd really suggest that you look at the usual thing that creates that hot state, that quick decision making, and you think about, what do I do afterwards? Do I scale in some downtime? Do I focus more on my breathing? Do I talk it over with a friend? Do I pre-plan so that I can have a way of bolstering myself after that event? Because if you do, that is a recipe for success. If you can plan it and you can use it and you enjoy the energy, that will really help you with your career and your life. If you ignore the recovery, Jordan, I'm telling you, you're not in your 40s, and in your 40s, it's going to come home to roost with health.
There we go. I appreciate that. It's good. This is something, like, it's something I know I do, right? So
Yeah.
I just want to understand it. I'm just curious. I'm just asking questions. Sorry.
No, I love it because this is why I wanted to pop it in the book, because it is such
Mm,
an excellent topic, and it is something that I think everybody can relate to, the times that they've had to make a decision on the spur of the moment and what has that done to them. Some people, like my friend from my primary school, who I've stayed friends with all along, we'll call her Elle, because what I'm about to say is not complimentary. Elle has made every single wrong decision in her life that it is possible to make. And she finally said to me, "What about this? I'm thinking of going to Japan and being a ski instructor. What do you think?" And I said, "What do you think, Elle?" And she said, "I think it's a great idea." And I said, "Well, all of your great ideas, how many of them have come to fruition? What is the evidence to say that you have been doing the right thing based on your gut feel?" And she said, "None of them." I said, "Okay, then maybe we need to do the opposite of what your gut feel is telling you." Now, I'm not saying that it was a right or a wrong decision for her, but I'm just giving you another way of thinking. So, Jordan, this has been fascinating. I'm loving where this has come to. There's so many more things that I have got in mind for this conversation, but I want to give people some comebacks if people criticize them. Because as a trader, you will get criticized, and we don't have long to go in the show. So here are some things. Jordan, give me some shade here. Give me something that somebody would tell you, you are a trader and you suck. Give me some criticism and I'll try out some of these comebacks.
the way you handled that last trade was pathetic.
Jordan, what makes you say that? Nice, isn't it? Gives you some time to think, gives you a little bit of a gap, and puts them back on the spot. Jordan, you and I have talked about when a spouse isn't supportive. This is something that you can use then, but it can also be for some sort of relative that is telling you that trading isn't for you. You realize this is more than just a hobby to me, don't you? I'd like your support, but I'm going to do this with or without you. Now, that one I have used. That has been very, very handy for me with a particular brother-in-law. Give me another bit of a nasty thing that somebody could say to one of our traders.
Oh, you really put me on the spot.
You're
All
not
right,
used to
let's go.
criticizing. I like that.
The drawdown that you're currently in is all your fault.
All my fault. We'll see if you feel that way when the money rolls in. And say this enigmatically before you turn on your heel and walk out the room. Perhaps something else that people face is, you know that trading's just gambling, don't you? Now, you could say, I used to think that too, until I met lots of people who've replaced their incomes through trading. Now, this is all speculative, many more things that we can cover, and that we will. But I wanted to leave on some comebacks that can be useful if somebody's throwing you some vicious untruths about the markets. Jordan,
I
thank
can
you
use
so
them in
much.
future episodes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, when you throw something my way, I'm just going to go, what makes you say that, Louise?
Exactly. So hopefully we've encouraged our traders to go from someone that isn't psychologically fit to somebody who is psychologically fit and looking gorgeous. Now, if you'd like to get my book, come to tradinggame.com.au, and you can even send me an email to talk about your deepest, darkest issues, Louise at tradinggame.com.au, so that we can talk about this on a future show. Jordan, we're out of time. Happy trading for the coming week, and we will see you in the very next episode of Mind Over Markets.